So the past couple of months of our dream home build have honestly been feeling a little bit more like a nightmare, between issues with the quality of construction, miscommunication or an extreme lack of communication with our contractor, and some truly, like, arguably awful weather. Things have just not been going very smoothly. So if you've been wondering why we've been a little quiet here, I'd like to give you a few updates, but for some legal and liability concerns, I probably can't share everything with you guys today, but hopefully be able to share at least some of the issues that we've been experiencing and hopefully give you an idea of where we're going to be going from here. So if you've been following our channel for a little while, you know that my husband and I have been trying to turn this 2.5-acre property into our dream mini homestead. We have been working to clear the lot, been working to clear or construct our home, and then eventually turn this property into something where we can grow our own food, perhaps raise some animals, but most importantly, where our toddler can be growing up in a wonderful rural setting.
Nice.
However, we have been hitting roadblock after roadblock, and at some points in the past month or two, we've been wondering if we wanted to even move into this house at all. And there's been some points where we have been this close to firing our contractor.
We need to figure out if we can fire these guys or not. This is so bad.
First of all, you definitely have seen our videos about our foundation, and that really set the tone of the entire construction so far and really should have been a foreshadowing or a warning to us about how the rest of the build would go. Frankly, our foundation has been too low. It was just way too low, and that continues to cause issues with construction. Because the foundation, at the top of the foundation, sits so close to grade, we had to have additional drainage vents installed around the perimeter of the house. And that has also caused issues with grading up around the house as well. And when we were experiencing some of the intense rain and atmospheric rivers last winter, it even caused additional moisture and drainage issues inside the foundation. Next came the subfloor, which we showed you guys a little bit about, with the contractors using a sledgehammer and jumping on the subfloor to try to bang it in over some of the anchor bolts, which was not a proper way to install the subfloor. So Phil was saying that he watched these guys literally lay the boards down on top of the bolts and then just jump on them until they busted through the plywood, and so they had to come back, put in new subflooring where it delaminated, and that all was happening during some extremely rainy weather. I had a good friend of mine watching that video text me, is like, hey, your contractor should be brooming off the water, and so you don't have standing water on that OSB because it'll soak in. That was a good point, and that should have happened. Unfortunately, the contractor did not do that, and we are still experiencing some issues with that today. And while we continued to make those comments, they continued to fix them, and they did fix a lot of the things that we had issues with. But all along, it just became a whole deal where we'd have to come out, and we felt we were continuously having to check their work, check the quality, and make sure things were being done properly.
All right, there's the drill.
Because if we didn't, we really were feeling like things were not going to be done correctly. Eventually the roof came on, and we were very, very excited that we were going to be dried in finally. Everyone, it's been a little longer than normal for us being able to get out to the property. Had some traveling in there, but they made some insane amount of progress since the last time we were here. So check this out. Yeah, that is pretty awesome. So They've gotten the house wrap on some of the siding on this side. Looks pretty cool. They got all the mechanical in, the plumbing in, a lot of the electrical in, windows and doors. So yeah, there's a lot that's been done. So I'll walk around a little bit.
There's a lot of motorcycles right there. I mean, back up like this.
Again, we were very excited only to come out and realize that the roof had been put on and our structure was soaked. There are still places of our home 2 months later that are reading in excess of 40% moisture.
This one's always so high you can't even measure it. It's so off the chart. Well, it did that time, but yeah. So. But like usually once you get off the floor a little bit, they're fine. But that's.
And if anyone knows anything about moist damp wood, we are experiencing all of the issues that comes along with that. And that's where essentially where I'm going to stop really explaining in more detail like some of the issues we have going on. But we are in active conversations with the contractor about how they're going to be addressing and dealing with those issues, because frankly it's just we're 2 months in and from the roof being installed, from the exterior sheeting being installed, from the vapor barrier being installed, and our house is still not dry. That's where a lot of the stress and a lot of the concern has been coming in the past couple of months, is that Phil and I, mostly Phil, has been coming out on weeknights and weekends, putting in additional fans and heaters and dehumidifiers, trying to get this house dried in. Here's one of the heater that we have in here. We had a little house space heater in, but this does a lot more. You see, these are ventilation fans the contractor brought in, and that's a dehumidifier that we brought in. So again, that's just kind of showing like we're spending money to try to dry out this house, and when they leave the door open, it really doesn't help. And the winter weather has not really helped. We've had some really, really cold and rainy weather, and nothing is going to dry out when it's below 40 degrees and 100% humidity outside. So we had some pretty industrial heaters brought in with those dehumidifiers for weeks and weeks, and have had thousands of dollars of electrical bills because of all of that energy consumption trying to get this house dried out. We finally got some warmer weather and felt like things were looking on the up and up, but we had a third-party contractor coming in, doing their own moisture readings, and they're still concerned, saying that they still see areas that are in excess of 20% inside the home. We're getting there. It's just been slow. And right now the contractor has some finished deliveries that are scheduled to come in the next couple of weeks and in the early parts of April, which is great. That means that we're getting really, really close to having our house done, but we're still on this precipice of like, is the house dry enough yet or is it not? What'd you find?
A lot of 20s.
A lot of 20s.
20.5, so it's close.
Getting better. So today we're here at the house putting in another dehumidifier in the crawl space.
I'll do that. Daddy.
Checking where the fans are located and trying to re-aim them into some of the spots that are of most concern, and then hopefully in the next say 2 weeks, we're really getting into a spot where the house is really, really dried in. Okay, I unplugged that, flip the breaker. This is the rest of the house. We unplugged these fans. This is one of our outlets that fans are plugged into. Still have the crawl space fan and dehumidifier on. I'll turn those back on in a minute. We still got fans upstairs as well. So hopefully with permanent power, this will help us just get dried out a little bit faster. So it's my first time coming out on an evening. I was coming back from a conference and took the ferry this way. So my first time coming out on the evening to just check how things are going. And the big news is that we got permanent power today. And I was checking to see how the heaters and fans and everything were doing, because the people out today were replugging them back in because we got permanent power, which means that we've got outlets in our home that can provide power to our house. So I turned off the fans while I'm here so I could think and call Phil and make sure everything's good. But I'll show you what's going on. So that's been a lot for us. It's been a lot of work and just a lot of arguing with our contractor. And frankly, they've been gaslighting us. They have been not communicating with us, despite repeatedly us telling them, you need to tell us when this thing is happening, when that thing is happening, and they just don't. And then we find out that something has happened because we have a trail cam with a cellular signal or connection on it that Phil's able to get updates to see when a contractor has been out on site or not. So that's been really helpful. I just wish that we didn't have to rely on that to make sure our contractor was doing what they said that they were going to be doing. So where do we go from here? Our contract does require us to do our own site development work. So that means that we have our own excavation company out here doing things like stormwater drainage, a dispersion trench. So yeah, this is our dispersion trench. So the stormwater that comes off our house goes into this, eventually the septic and some final finished grading. So that contractor has been out on site for the past week or so doing that work. And hopefully in the next 2 weeks, I can show you the septic install as well as some more finished grading around our site. I hope you guys have enjoyed watching our progress so far, and maybe can commiserate or empathize with where we are at in our home build. We're also kicking around the idea of what to do to kind of rid the site and the house of some bad vibes. So if you have any recommendations for that, please leave them in the comments down below.
You guys ready?
Ready?
Start your engines. Ready, set, go! Look out!
And if you enjoyed working with us on our home build site or watching our progress, please consider giving us a subscribe or a like on this video, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks. Bye.